Good morning. Good morning to all. So today, as part of our semester, we are going to discuss about our skill enhancement course, that is survey research method for fourth semester. So in this course, we are going to discuss about some important topics around this survey research method and its history and the important characteristics of survey research method and what is the importance of survey research in political science and what is the benefit for the political science students and what is the use of survey research method in our subject, and also what is the major advantages and disadvantages from this course. So, and also we are going to discuss about various methods of data collection and survey data collection and survey analysis and analysis these collected survey data. Also, we are going to discuss about in these classes. And also we have syllabus of sampling methods also there, sampling types also there in our syllabus, and also we have tools and tools for online survey also there, and types of survey. In this survey there is different types of surveys are there, like face-to-face survey, interview method survey, telephone survey, mail-in survey, and in recent time there are several online surveys also we are watching and we are attending. We are attempting that kind of surveys for different categories, like political surveys or product surveys or feedback surveys for any online apps or something else. And also there are several tools for online survey also we are going to discuss, and also we are going to discuss about the advantages, characteristics, and disadvantages about this survey research method. So, so we have first we have the concept of this survey research method. So in this survey research method, we have to know about the meaning of research. Research means re plus search already existing data. We have to find new inventions in that already existing data. So that's what we called as research. So research is an important human endeavor that continuously improved human life over the centuries. So everything in all the subjects, like not only in social sciences, in science and other science and technology based subjects also, the research is important for human development. So if we see in this type of research in social studies, like we have several subjects also called disciplines, like include history, economics, political science, anthropology, psychology, ethics, public administration, and also several social science subjects also there in this research method. So this survey research method is used for exclusively very important for these social science disciplines. So there are several methods of research in social sciences also there. So in this chapter, we are going to understand the minimum knowledge about the survey research method. So there are several problems also there with this type of survey research. So if we see, the word survey means to look at or look over, observe, view, contemplate, regard, or see. So it is both a verb and a noun. So as a verb, it literally means looking at carefully and thoroughly at things, persons, or events so as to understand them. So as used in civil engineering survey means examining and recording the features of an area of land, so as to construct a map or plan or description. In case of social sciences, it is used as a process of investigating the opinions or experiences of people by asking them questions. So in this survey research method, we can get data from, from the respondents by asking them questions. In case we may ask in questions like questionnaires or person to person interview, or we can get information from them by giving them a questionnaire in online or offline method. So as already mentioned, the survey research is a major method of conducting research in political science and other social sciences. So it is the method based on primary data as contrasted to the library method, which is based on the secondary data. So we have to remember that the various data sources in this research area. So we have two types of data is available for to do research. One is primary data and another one is secondary data. Primary data is which means we have to collect data by visiting and collecting information at a first level. So which means we have to get information from the grassroots level in person. So this secondary data means already existed data like books or secondary data, books or thesis or publications, journals or other types of already existing data, which we called it as secondary data. So here the survey research involves the collection of data attained by asking individuals questions, as we discussed, in person or in paper or by phone or by online mode, or conducting surveys is one form of primary research. So maximum those who are attempting primary data collection, so they may use this type of survey research method for their research purpose. So which is the gathering data first-hand information, and its source, although the information collected may also be accessed subsequently by other parties in secondary research. So here we have to understood as research method is used for collecting data from predefined group of respondents to gain information and insights on various topics of interest. So during this course of survey research, researchers ask the participants in a survey, so who are technically called respondents. So the researcher must choose respondents from various lists. Like if we take an example of if we want to do a survey among in a village, we have to visit there. We have to visit in a village and we have to so we have to visit in village. Particularly we have to choose respondents from the village list, like voter list or any other list available in that gram panchayati office. So we cannot get information from the all the respondents in that list, so we have to choose like randomly, like from one member from 10, or randomly selecting by numberings, by choosing serial number like 1, 10, 20, 30, like that. So we have to acquire information from the respondents by selecting sampling method. So this random sampling is very useful for this survey research method. So surveys can be long or short. So they can understand, they can be conducted in person, by telephone, as we discussed in modern times, we are using maximum internet-based surveys. So we can send them in mail or in any social networking group. So in a subject like political science, they can be about voting intentions, party preferences, ideological leanings, leadership styles, likes or dislikes of particular policies and political leaders. So in subjects like commerce and management, consumer preferences, in particular sociology like social attitudes, in health administration, health issues, or anything else that is possible to ask people about, the receive meaningful answers from the respondents. So the survey research is used all over the world besides academics, like by policy think tanks, consultants, political strategists, political parties, and also psephologists, pollsters, government agencies, and business organizations. So if we see, most of the governments use research surveys to learn about their citizens, to help them, to serve them better by to review their policies. And also, while political candidates can use these type of survey research to gauge the preferences and opinions of voters. So as we see, in case of any elections is going on in forthcoming times, so the political parties are individual persons involved in this political stream, or political leaders associated with that particular political parties. They may conduct surveys regarding the public opinion about the party and about that person. So they may get most of the times accurate information from the respondents. So these surveys are applied in fields like another fields like demographics, statistics, and social research. So most survey research is non-experimental. It is used to describe single variables like the percentage of voters who prefer one candidate or another, the prevalence of general population, and also to access statistical relationship between variables, such as, for example, the relationship between the income and ideological preferences. So, but surveys can also be experimental, because the study says the accurate information and possibilities, feasibility, and advantages, disadvantages about the what we want to know, the information from the respondents. So the sometimes their use of self-report measures and a large national sample identifies their work as survey research. So, but their manipulation of an independent variable to assess its effect on a dependent variable. So, if we see the major characteristics of a good survey research here, so here we have major characteristics of good survey research, like there are many advantages also there by doing this survey research. So if we see the primary characteristics of this survey research, even if you use a voter list or other targeted list for a voter satisfaction or other study, you may later want to analyze the results by smaller segments, as we discussed. Identify segments of interest at the beginning, then include few relevant demographic questions, example, age, gender, caste, religion, and family background and income levels, like and occupation, etc. So the majority of the surveys are focused surveys. Avoid question creep. If you are asking questions about a particular topic, resist requests from colleagues to insert questions on other issues that waste questions or make the survey seems unfocused. So most of the surveys are focused on particular thing, what we want to get information from the respondents. And also in this type of surveys, we have to mention clear questions, make questions easy to understand by avoiding acronyms, technical words, jargon, complex sentences, and ambiguous language. So the question must be simply and easy to understand by the respondent. So then only we have to get information accuracy from the respondent during the survey. And also there will be different types of questions also will be there, like open-ended questions and one-part questions, two-part questions. So subdivide two-part questions. So if we participants agree with one part of the question, but not the other, their answers will not be meaningful. So when none of the answers to multiple choice questions apply, respondents will select any response. If you provide options such as other, neutral, or none of the above, followed by the please explain, response will be more accurate. So then the comments will provide unexpected insights for your survey research. So, so sometimes there are logical sequencing of questions will be there in this survey research method. When you have formulated the questions, check if the sequence of questions is logical or illogical. So if you say go from question number 9 to 12, make sure to have to question 12 and make sure that question 10 logically follows question 9. So, and question 11 follows question 10 and so on. So we must formulate the question by sequence of questions to understand the data which we want to get from the respondent. And also the use approaches such as email, phone calls, or direct mail to invite the target group to participate in the study. And also make sure that participants are sympathetic with the purpose of the survey and are interested in the subjects covered in the survey. So provide an incentive or share some of the results to enhance their motivation for participation in this survey research. So sometimes results, if we want results in accurate method, well-designed surveys help us identify the social problems, public expectations, or voter preferences, whether you use an online or traditional survey instrument. You should first think of the desired uses and unexpected benefits of the survey. So, and then develop good survey questions and survey logic. So here, this survey research is a quantitative approach that features the use of self-report measures on carefully selected samples. So if it is a flexible approach that can be used to study a wide variety of these surveys. So it is very important in many academic disciplines like our political science, public administration, sociology, public health, psychology, etc. Many disciplines are using this type of survey methods. So we have to know the importance of this survey research. So as we discussed, surveys are useful in describing the characteristics of a large population. No other research method can provide this broad capability, which ensures a more accurate sample to gather targeted results in which to draw conclusions and make important decisions. And also, the surveys can help as the representatives of individual views and experiences When done well, surveys provide numbers on people's opinions and behaviors that can be used to make important decisions. So survey research is a useful and legitimate approach to research that had clear benefits in helping to describe and explore variables and constructs of interest. So this survey research, like all research, has the potential of variety of sources of error, but several strategies indeed exist to reduce the potential for error. So if we see the major advantages from this survey research method, the survey research is a critical component of measurement and applied social research. So just a second. So this survey research is a critical component of measurement and applied social research. So it is a broad research area that encompasses many procedures that include and asking questions to specific respondents. So a survey can be anything from a short feedback form to intensive in-depth interviews that attempt to gather specific data about situations, events, or circumstances. So, although there are several methods of application that researchers can apply using the tool, you can divide surveys into two generic categories like interviews and questionnaires. So, there are several innovations in this area is there in recent years, allow for advanced software solutions to provide more data to researchers because of the availability of online and mobile surveys. So that means the people who are in the most challenging places to reach can still provide feedback on critical ideas, services, or solutions. So several survey research advantages and disadvantages are there. If we see the important advantages of this survey research, one is it is an inexpensive method of conducting research. So surveys are one of the most inexpensive methods of gathering quantitative data that is currently available. So some questionnaires can be self-administered. So if we want to get information from particular area, we can make questions for that questionnaire. So an individual researcher can make questions for his research to get information what he wants to get information from the respondent. So he can make questions. He can making this possibility to get information, accurate information from the respondent. So that means you have access to a massive level of confirmation from large demographic in a relatively short time. So you can place this option on your website, email it to individuals, or post it on a social media profile. So some of these methods have no financial cost at all. So relying on personal efforts to post and collect the information, robust targeting is necessary to ensure that the highest possible response rate becomes available to create a more accurate result by this survey research method. And also, surveys are a practical solution for data gathering. So you can target them to a demographic of your choice or manage them in several different ways. So it is up to you determine what questions get asked and in what format. You can use polls, questionnaires, quizzes, open-ended questions, and multiple choice questions to collect information in real-time situations that the feedback is immediately useful. So it is also fast way to get the results that you need. So surveys provide fast and comfortable. Just a second. So, so these surveys are very useful results what you want to get information from the respondent. So these surveys provide fast and comfortable results because of today's mobile and online tools. So it is not unusual for this method of data collection to generate results in as little as 1 day. And sometimes it can be even less than that, depending on the scale and reach of your questions. So you no longer need to wait for another company to deliver the solutions that you need, because these questionnaire give you insights immediately. So that means you can start making decisions in the shortest of amount of time possible. So after the introduction of these online surveys, there is no need to go in offline mode, no need to go in person, no need to ask by questionnaire by personally. So surveys provide opportunities for scalability also. A well-constructed survey allows you to gather data from an audience of any size. You can distribute your questions to anyone in the world today because of the reach of the internet. All you need to do is send them a link to the page where you solicit information from them. This process can be done automatically, allowing companies to increase the efficiency of their customer onboarding processes. So markets also can use these surveys as a way to create lead nurturing campaigns. Scientific research gains a benefit through this process, as well as because it can generate social insights at a personal level that other methods are unable to achieve. And also, these surveys allows for data to come from multiple sources at once. So when you construct a survey to meet the needs of a demographic, then you have the ability to use multiple data points and collected from various geographic locations. There are fewer barriers in place today with this method than ever before because of the online access we have around the world. So some challenges also do exist because of this benefit, namely because of the cultural differences that exist between different countries. If you conduct a global survey, then you will want to review all of the questions to ensure that an offense is not unintentionally given. So, and also there is a benefit that surveys give you the opportunity to compare results. So after researchers quantify the information collected from the surveys, the data can be used to compare and contrast the results from other research efforts. So this benefit makes it possible to use the information to measure change. So that means a questionnaire that goes out every month or each year becomes more valuable over time. So when you can gather a significant amount of data, then the picture you are trying to interpret will become much clearer. So surveys provide the capability of generating new strategies or identifying new trends to create more opportunities. So it offers a straightforward analysis and visualization of data. Most surveys are quantitative by design. This process allows for the advantage of a straightforward analysis process so that the results can be quickly visualized. So that means a data scientist does not need to be available to start the work of interpreting the results. So you can take advantage of third-party software tools that can turn this info into usable reports, charts, tables to facilitate the presentation efforts. So the survey respondents can stay anonymous with this research approach. So if you choose to use online or email surveys, then there is a fantastic opportunity to allow respondents to remain anonymous. So we can provide an option to in that sign in option in survey. So they may not disclose their personal details in that survey. So they can easily enter with the anonymous name. So the privacy will be safe with that strategy. So, so it's an opportunity to complete invisibility is possible with postal questionnaires, allowing researchers to maximize the level of comfort available to the individuals who offer answers. So even in a phone conversation doesn't require a face-to-face meeting, creating this unique benefit. So it is a research tool with fewer time constraints too. Surveys have fewer time limits associated with them when compared to other research methods. So there is no one on the other end of an email or postal questionnaire that wants an immediate answer. So that means a respondent can take additional time to complete each answer in the most comfortable way possible. So this benefit is another way to encourage more honestly within the results, since so having a research presence can often lead to socially desirable answers. So one more advantage is there, that is surveys can cover every component of any topic. So another critical advantage is that surveys provide is the ability to ask as many questions as you want. So there is a benefit in keeping an individual questionnaire short, because a respondent may find a lengthy process to be frustrating. The best results typically come when you create an experience that involves 10 or fewer questions. So since this is a low-cost solution for gathering data, there is no harm in creating multiple surveys that have an easy mode of delivery. So this benefit gives you the option to cover as many subtopics as possible, that you can build a complete profile of almost any subject of matter. So there are several disadvantages also there by doing this survey research. There is always a risk that people will provide dishonest answers. So the risk of receiving a dishonest answer is lower when you use anonymous surveys, but it does not disappear entirely. Some people want to help researchers come to whatever specific conclusion they think the process is pursuing. So there is also a level of social desirability bias that creeps into the data based on the interactions that respondents have with questionnaires. You can avoid some of these disadvantages by assuring individuals that their privacy is a top priority, and the process you are used prevents personal information leaks, but you can't stop this problem 100% of the time. And also there is one more disadvantage. You might discover that some questions don't get answers. If you decide to use a survey to gather information, then there is a risk that some questions will be left unanswered or ignored. If some questions are not required, then respondents might choose not to answer them. So an easy way to get around these disadvantages is to use an online solution that makes answering questions a required component of each step. And also there can be differences in how people understand the survey questions. There can be a lot of information that gets lost in translation when researchers opt to use a survey instead of other research methods. So when there is not someone able to explain a questionnaire entirely, then the results can be somewhat subjective. So you must give everyone an opportunity to have some understanding of the process so that you can encourage accurate answers. So it is not unusual to have respondents struggle to grasp the meaning of some questions. So even though the text might seem clear to the people who created it, so surveys struggle to convey emotions with the achievable results. So some researchers get stuck trying to interpret feelings in the data they receive. So a sliding scale response that includes various levels of agreement or disagreement can try to replicate the concept of emotion, but it's not quite the same as being in the same room as someone. So some answers can be challenging to classify by the survey research method. So surveys produce a lot of data because of their nature. You can tabulate multiple choice questions, graph agreement or disagreement in specific areas, or create open-ended questions that can be challenged in research. So individualized answers can create a lot of useful information, but they can also provide you with data that cannot be quantified. So if you incorporate several questions of this nature into questionnaire, you must remove someone with a hidden agenda as soon as possible. So respondent bias can be a problem in any research type. Participants in this survey or in your survey could have an interest in your idea, service, or product. Others might find themselves being influenced to participate because of the subject material found in your questionnaire. So these issues can lead to inaccurate data gathering because it generates an imbalance of respondents who either see the process as overly positive or negative. So this disadvantage of survey research can be avoided by using effective pre-screening tools that use indirect questions that identify this bias. So sometimes these surveys does not provide the same level of personalization. Any marketing effort will feel impersonal unless you take time to customize this process. So this by using this survey method research, some people can put off by the idea of filling out a generic form, leading them to abandon the process too. So this issue is especially difficult when your survey is taken voluntarily online, regardless of an email subscription or recent purchase. So there is another disadvantages also there, like some respondents will choose answers before reading the questions. So every research hopes that respondents will provide conscious responses to the questions offered in a survey. The problem here is that there is no way to know if the person filled out the questionnaire really understood the content provided to them. You don't even have a guarantee that the individual read the question thoroughly before offering a response. So there are times when answers are chosen before someone fully reads the question, and all of the answers, some respondents skip through questions or make instant choices without reading the content at all. So because you have no way to know when this issue occurs, so there will always be a measure of error in the collected data. So there is also one disadvantage is accessibility issue can impact some surveys. So a lack of accessibility is always a threat that researchers face when using surveys. This option might be unsuitable for individuals who have a visual or hearing impairment. So literacy is often necessary to complete this process. These issues should come under consideration during the planning stages of the research project. So to avoid this potential disadvantage, then make the effort to choose a platform that has the accessibility options you need have really built on it. So some surveys fatigue can be a real issue that some respondents face. So there are two issues that manifest themselves because of these disadvantages. So the first problem occurs before someone even encounters your questionnaire because they feel overwhelmed by the growing number of questions, requests for information. A respondent is automatically less inclined to participate in a research project. So that results in a lower overall response rate. Then there is a problem of fatigue that happens while taking a survey. So this issue occurs when someone feels like the questionnaire is too long or contains questions that seems irrelevant. So try to make the process as easy to as possible to avoid the issues with these disadvantages. So finally, these survey researches sometimes have a pure reputation. Researchers have seen response rates decline because this method of data gathering had become unpopular since the 1990s. So part of the reason for this perception is due to the fact that everyone tries to use it online since it is low cost way to collect information for decision making processes and purposes. So that's why researchers are moving toward a rewards based system to encourage higher participation and completion rates. So the most obvious way to facilitate this behavior is to offer something tangible such as a gift card or a contest entry. So you can generate more responses by creating an anonymous process that encourages direct and honest answers. So these survey research advantages and disadvantages prove that this process is not as easy as it might see from the outside. Until you sit down to start writing the questions, you may not entirely know where you want to take this data collection effort by incorporating the critical points as we discussed. So you can begin to craft questions in a way that encourages the completion of the activity. So these all are the advantages and disadvantages of survey research. So the use of survey research in political science is very important. The survey research is a major tool for bringing facts or data to bear on studies on political phenomena. So the way in which survey research do so by collecting data from the few to generalize to the many is once again undergoing a period of profound change. In the past 2 decades, survey research has shifted from a reliance on face-to-face interviewing in respondent homes during 1970s to the cheaper and faster world of telephone surveying in the 1980s and the 1990s. So today, as the 21st century has reached its third decade, this transition toward a technology-mediated experience of the survey interview continues. So the revolution in digital communications technology has brought about even bigger changes, from the steady replacement of landlines with cellular phones to the expansion of habitual reliance of an ever larger number of people on the internet. So, and although survey researchers have dealt with public skepticism of polling and refusal to participate before. Today, it is higher than ever. Nevertheless, survey research has always been an investigative tool, shifting with the prevailing social trends. So, in fact, the study of survey research has become a scientific display of its own. So, if we see the recent trends in survey research in political science, the book entitled 21st Century Political Science, a Reference Handbook, takes stock of four of the most important changes and sources of continuity in survey research in contemporary times. So, one is cellular telephone ownership. Ownership has increased the number of households without a landline telephone, disrupting the traditional methodology. Or for telephone surveys. Second one is a web survey is already major mode of survey research, and given the spread of broadband internet access, its methodology will continue to develop. Third one is these two changes have resulted in blurring of what was once fundamental distinction between surveys. So the difference between probability and non-probability sampling is important. And fourth one is highlighting the place of survey research in a globalized world. Cross-cultural, cross-national survey research will continue to open up new research opportunities. So the survey research is in political science encompasses a great diversity of subject matter. The most well-known application is the mass opinion survey of voting age population within the United States of America. The major political science survey is American National Election Studies around the world. So the World Value Survey is conducted in more than 40 countries across Europe. There are long-standing Europe barometer surveys and more recent European social survey. So these surveys are only a few among the many in political science. So if we define different types of surveys in our political phenomena, one is political surveys. Political surveys can help politicians to survey their target audience and understand the needs and wants of the public. So they are strategic initiatives that can help a political party. So these political surveys ask questions to gather the opinions and attitudes of potential voters. Such questionnaires are also used for political groups, political activists, political consultants, government agencies, and political candidates. So political surveys are helpful in identifying supporters and understanding what the public needs. So using such questions, a political candidate or an organization can formulate policies to gain support from these people. So if we take an example, a political candidate wants to understand the benefits and opinions of his target population. So in such a case, political surveys enables him to gather information that can be used to increase the presence and formulate social and political activities based on this data. Another example is a political candidate wants to understand the public's perception and opinion on media accountability. For such reasons, a media accountability survey can be carried out to gather data that can be used to formulate policies to address media accountability. So using such data, the candidate can position themselves better among his potential vote. So there is another type of surveys is opinion polls. Opinion polls are similar to surveys or an inquiry designed to gauge public opinion about a specific issue or series of issues in a scientific and unbiased manner. So if we see these type of opinion polls, we will see during the elections. So opinion polls can be used in the public relations field as well. In the early 1920s, public reaction experts described their work as two-way street. Their job would be present the misinterpreted interests of large institutions to the public. They would also gauge the typically ignored interest of public through this type of opinion polls. So it is we specify that it is a human research survey of public opinion from a particular sample. So a person who conducts polls is referred to as a pollster. So this is one of the different type of survey. Another one is there are several different types of survey polls are there. There are several challenges also there. If we see the challenges facing survey research in recent times, it would be premature to talk of the methods of irrelevance or phasing out. So survey research has faced similar challenges in the past and been the subject of criticism in recent times. So so here we have to know the data collection and methods of collection and analysis of surveys data. So what is survey data? Survey data is defined as the resultant data that is collected from a sample of respondents that took in a survey. So this data is comprehensive information gathered from a target audience about a specific topic to the conduct research. So there are different methods and sub-methods used by researchers for survey data collections. If we see, the majority of the survey data will be classified into two different sources. One is primary and another one is secondary. So there are two main types of data. As we mentioned, this is two types is primary and secondary data. So understanding the difference between these two is important in deciding which method and source of data collection to use. So primary data means first-hand information collected by an investigator or researcher. So it is collected for the first time. It is original and hence more reliable. For example, the population census conducted by the government of India after every 10 years is primary data. The secondary data refers to second-hand information. So it is not originally collected and rather obtained from already published or unpublished sources. For example, the address of a person taken from the telephone directory or the phone number of a company taken from Just Dial are secondary data. So data will be classified into two more types. One is statistical data, another one is non-statistical data. So statistical sources of data refer to a data that is gathered for some official purposes, incorporate censuses and officially administered services. So non-statistical service sources refer to the collection of data for the administrative purpose for a private sector. And also we can classify it into internal sources and external sources. So internal sources means a political party publishes its observations on the state of economy annual report on profit and loss, total sales, loans, wages, etc. However, when the internal sources prove inadequate or subjective, there will be need to go for external sources. When data is collected from the sources outside the organization called external sources, for example, a government department of Telangana obtains data from the corresponding. What happened, Amma?
Page number.
Page number 25, 26.
Political science, sir.
Yes. Course title is Survey Research Method.
So
There will be different types of methods also there. So data collection is a process of gathering and measuring information from all the relevant sources. So if any researcher want to get information from the respondent, he can use different types of methods to collect survey data from the respondents. Like one is observation method, another one is interview method, and another one is the content analysis. So the survey response rates for each of these data collection methods will differ from one another. So different ways are chosen according to specific target population characteristics in the intent to examine human nature under various situations. So if we see the observation method, observation is the important to get information from the prescribed area. So at the sometime it is also referred to a participatory study because the researcher has to establish a link with the respondent. For this has to immerse himself in the same setting as theirs. So observation method data collection has two variants known as structured observation, unstructured observation. So the controlled observation is one of the closed space survey method. So it is the researcher who has the authority to decide the place and the time where and when the observation will take place. So he also decides who is the participants will be and the what circumstances will he use the standardized process. So this will be the different types of data collection in survey research method. So so as we discussed, the some of advantages and disadvantages of survey method research, like there are several disadvantages are there, advantages are there by offline surveys and online surveys. um, for this survey research method, especially in political science, especially in social science stream, uh, there is wide scope for this advantage of this survey research. So the maximum accuracy will be uh, get from the respondents by doing this survey. So as we mentioned, we can get surveys, we can conduct surveys by offline and online. So we can meet in person, we can call them, we can get telephonic surveys, we can get online surveys, email surveys. So most of the times we can get accurate information from these type of surveys, especially in social science streams. So many advantages are there with this social survey research. So uh, that's what researchers are moving to get surveys by doing online surveys. So there will be accuracy, and there will be there is no issue with privacy matters also, because everyone is aware of their privacy, and everyone is fearing about their privacy to participate these type of surveys, including any matters relating to the relevant and contemporary issues regarding to the government sector or any other contemporary issue. So so careful framing and phrasing of questions is important limitation in this survey method, because cautious interpretations by a clear recognition of the limitations of the data and understanding of what exactly that data represents. So most of the time, lack of funding, time limit or shortage of staff is practical reasons for to not getting accurate results from these type of surveys. So as a result, researchers may not be able to detect flaws in their questionnaire, like somewhat can be open to multiple ways of interpretation. So there are several disadvantages also there by doing online surveys. The major disadvantages of online survey is survey fraud. The reliability of survey statistics depends on something called panel integrity. So this will be the one of the disadvantages from these surveys. There are several advantages and disadvantages also there with this service. Okay, I am concluding for this today's session. Tomorrow we will meet again and discuss remaining chapters. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, sir. క్లాస్ అయిపోయిందా? ఏం క్లాస్ ఉంది? మేడం క్లాస్ ఏం క్లాస్ మేడం?